drive and vision, Tunde, said his wife here one day. Other men in town have businesses and they are all doing so well for themselves and families. How can ordinary small accident cripple your finances, Tunde? Take a good look at us. Are you not tired of this our suffering? You know I deserve better, Tunde. You know it. Look how pretty I am now. Once upon a time, in the beautiful city of Abuja in Nigeria, lived a very hardworking young man known as Tunde. Tunde was married to one of the prettiest ladies in Abuja, known as Yewande. Tunde met his wife Yewande one fateful evening when he went out for a drink with his other rich friends in one of the luxurious bars in Abuja. He was walking out of the bar's restroom when he saw this extremely beautiful girl sobbing at a corner of the bar. He immediately approached her and was extremely worried over what could be troubling such a beautiful damsel. I had a fight with my boyfriend, said Yewande when Tunde approached her. My boyfriend was flirting carelessly with some other girls, and when I confronted him over that, he slapped me and left me here. I don't really know what to do right now as I have no other place to go to. My boyfriend was the one that brought me to Abuja from Ondo State 3 months ago. Tunde, who was completely lost over Yewande's beauty, felt so much pity for her, so he offered to take her to his place, and Yewande obliged. Tunde and Yewande became an item from that night onwards. Tunde showered Yewande with so much wealth and made her the complete envy of other girls in Abuja. Tunde was a very successful engineer. He was working for one of the biggest foreign construction companies in Nigeria. He was extremely good at what he does and was earning in US dollars. Tunde's relationship with Yewande was a complete slice of heaven on earth for him. Yewande, on the other hand, adored Tunde and sang his praises everywhere. Not long after, Tunde and Yewande tied the knots in a very grand ceremony and started building a family. Their small family was extremely peaceful and joyful. Life for Tunde and Yewande was simply good and gracious. One fateful day, while Tunde was returning from a nightclub after partying with some of his rich friends, he had a ghastly motor accident that left him bedridden in the hospital for about 8 months. Tunde's hospital bills sucked out almost all his savings. He had no tangible investments to fall back on because of the flashy, expensive, and luxurious life he lives with his wife and friends. His office got a replacement for his position by the third month he was in the hospital. So when Tunde finally left the hospital for his home, he was completely broke. His wife Yewande was a full-time housewife. She had no money of her own to use and support their home. Tunde had nobody to help him, not even his friends or extended families offered to help. So he resorted to selling off some of his expensive items to be able to cater for his home, but it wasn't even enough. Yewande's patience soon started wearing thin. They started blaming Tunde for all their troubles and misfortune. Are you really blaming me for a situation I had no control over, Yewande? Tunde asked his wife one evening when he got tired of listening to her bickering and naggings at him. Yes, Tunde, I blame you. You lack drive and vision. Other men in town have businesses and they are all doing so well for themselves and families. don't magically go broke like this. How can ordinary small accident cripple your finances today? Take a good look at us. Are you not tired of this our suffering? You know I deserve better Tunde. You know it. Look how pretty I am now. Tunde, who was in deep shock over his wife's words, stared deeply at his wife here one day while she spoke and broke down in tears. Yewande's words hurt Tunde so deeply, but he maintained his calm. You know I'm doing everything I can to get us out of this mess, Yewande. What else do you want me to do? He asked her. Tunde, do more. Do more, Tunde. You're not doing enough in my eyes. You're not. Please be patient here one day, pleaded Tunde. Things will change for the better soon. Those words from Tunde even intensified Yewande's anger as she went ahead cursing him out the more. Tunde had earlier informed Yewande that day that they should withdraw their children from the expensive school they were attending and put them in an affordable school, as he was tired of avoiding the incessant calls from their children's school authorities asking for their school fees. That suggestion by Tunde angered Yewande a lot, who found it extremely humiliating for them to withdraw their children from the school their friends' children were also attending. Yewande was deeply convinced that Tunde was out to reduce her reputation and steeze before their rich friends. These days, all Yewande does was watch herself in the mirror and sob. She knew she was a great damsel, and many rich men would want to spend heavily on her if she allows them. Why then is she suffering and allowing Tunde reduce her reputation in town? Yewande came from a very poor home herself, but was blessed with a great beauty that opens many doors for her. These thoughts made her cry bitterly. Whenever Yewande hangs out with her friends, she always returned home miserable after listening to the glamorous treatments most of her friends were receiving from their men. Yewande knew within her that she was the prettiest amongst her friends. Yet, Tunde haven't gotten her anything new in over a year plus now. This made Yewande's resentment towards Tunde deepen every day. One fateful evening, without warning, Yewande packed her bags and left Tunde's home. Tunde was heartbroken as Yewande left a goodbye note for him in the living room without even saying a goodbye to him and their children in person. He sat faintly on the floor of his living room, hugging his children tightly and letting his tears flow freely while he read Yewande's goodbye note. He kept wondering where he went wrong while reminiscing on the happy years he shared with Yewande in the past. Yewande used to be so sweet. How did he miss this wicked and inconsiderate part of Yewande? For weeks, Tunde walked around in a daze. His heart was so heavy with sorrow. He blamed himself sometimes, wondering if he could have done more. He spent his days thinking, sulking, smoking, and drinking himself to stupor. One morning, as Tunde read through his 45th rejection mail from the various companies he had sent out his CV to, he decided to do the unthinkable. He went to meet an elderly man, popularly known as Baba, who repairs tables and chairs at the corner of his street. Tunde pleaded with Baba to teach him his craft. Even though Baba was a very well respected craftsman in Tunde's street, he was extremely shocked to hear Tunde's request, as Tunde was one of the biggest and richest men in their street. He, however, took Tunde in and gradually started teaching Tunde his craft. Tunde poured all his pains into his new work, and within a few months, Tunde became even better than Baba to a large extent in their crafts work. Baba was very happy and completely amazed at how fast Tunde learned his work. It happened that Tunde's late father was also a very skilled craftsman in his time. Tunde used to stop by his late father's shop after school every day when he was in secondary school to assist his father. He, however, abandoned craftsmanship when his late father passed on and left for the city to continue his education on scholarship. Baba would sometimes pray heavily for Tunde and bless him constantly with positive words. This always boosted Tunde's confidence and made him even work harder and smarter. Not long after, Tunde started bringing in his highly marketing skills that kept him on top of his game in his former workplace to Baba's business. This greatly increased Baba's finances beyond Baba's imagination. Baba, out of joy, decided to officially make Tunde his business partner and no more his apprentice. A few years later, Tunde and Baba expanded their workshop. They hired other workers and became popularly known by the creme de la creme of Abuja for their exceptional craftsmanship. Tunde and Baba's wealth grew beyond their imagination. This time around, Tunde opted for a very simple but happy life with his children he had been raising alone since Yewande left him. He remained humble while focusing on rebuilding himself and helping the poor, as he now deeply understood what it was like to have nothing in his life. Meanwhile, Yewande, his ex-wife, had remarried twice in the space of 3 years to extremely rich men who treated her so horribly in their homes. Yewande's first ex-husband was so rich, but he made his money in a very shady means. He was always on the run with Yewande, as law enforcement agencies were always looking for him. He also beats up Yewande to stupor at any slight provocation. Yewande's second husband wasn't any better either. He was a rich mommy's boy whose family converted Yewande to their official housemaid and humiliates her publicly always for being a desperate gold digger and having no strong family name. None of these men came close in comparison to the love, kindness, and respect Tunde showered on Yewande. This made Yewande's heart miss Tunde so much. She deeply regretted how badly she treated Tunde after his accident. So when Yewande had Tunde's newfound success and come back to great wealth, she decided to try her luck again with him. One evening, as Tunde was about stepping into his car at the close of work, his wife Yewande, out of nowhere, approached him. When Tunde saw Yewande, his wife, standing in front of him, he was extremely shocked, but he stayed calm. Yewande came a little closer to Tunde. With a trembling voice, she started apologizing to him for the way she treated him after his accident in the past. Despite his kindness, care, and love for her, even when she knew that it was the accident that sucked his finances and he wasn't a lazy man by nature. Yewande told Tunde that she was a completely changed person now and will be very grateful if he will consider her and take her back so that they can become one big happy family again, as she missed him and their children so much. After listening to Yewande talk, Tunde, who was short for words, stared at Yewande for a very long moment and told Yewande that he had already forgiven her a long time ago. This made Yewande's heart glimmer with joy and hope. Tunde went on to tell her that the reason he forgave her, even without her asking for forgiveness, was that if he had held on to the pains she caused him, he would have remained extremely bitter and incapable of doing anything else in his life. Tunde thanked Yewande for being a part of his life and the reason he has amazing children who call him father today. He also thanks Yewande for using her behavior to make him rethink his life choices and the wasteful way he was spending money just to impress people who couldn't even lift a finger for him when he went flat broke. And with a sad smile on his face, Tunde told Yewande that the new life he had now had no place for her in it, as he had learned to find peace and purpose in his own way and will never in his life bring someone like her into his world again to scatter him. Tunde's words left a deep pang of pain and regret in Yewande's face as she quietly walked away with an understanding that she could never undo the wicked choices she made during Tunde's darkest moments. Tunde, on the other hand, continued to live his life with kindness and integrity in a very quiet and happy way. This is the end of my story. The moral of this story is that life is very unpredictable. We should cultivate the habit of saving and investing for our rainy day. Secondly, wasteful living is never a wise thing because you end up becoming helpless when unforeseen circumstances hit you in life. Thirdly, humans change. It doesn't matter how good you are to people, their decisions in life most times are very selfish. Fourthly, whenever life hits you hard, don't give up. Dust yourself up and keep on trying. The grass is not always greener on the other side. Lastly, once bitten, twice shy. Thank you for watching.